NBC's Kelly O'Donnell is covering the White House. Also with me, Sahil Kapoor on Capitol Hill. Sam Stein is managing editor at The Bulwark and an MSNBC contributor. So, Kelly, let's start out there. This memo about underperforming federal employees came out after a judge blocked the government's buyout offer. What more can you tell us, and how does this fit into the larger frame of trying to gut the overall workforce?
Well, there's clearly a message from the Trump administration of deep frustration and outright criticism of federal workers, even though federal workers, of course, uphold so many of the departments and agencies and services that are provided to the American people all across the country, not just here in Washington. And this administration is trying to reduce the size of the federal workforce, saying it's about the budget, but also looking to align workers with President Trump's view of how government should operate and political points of view and so forth. He is relying on Elon Musk to a great degree in this special government role that he has. And today he was asked about Musk's work and the sort of approach he's taking to dismantle parts of our government. And as you might be expecting, President Trump defended his choice to deploy Elon Musk in these ways.
Elon is doing a great job. He's finding tremendous fraud and corruption and waste. You see it with the USAID, but you're going to see it even more so with other agencies and other parts of government. He's got a staff that's fantastic. He's wanted to be able to do this for a long time, and everybody else knew it was existent, but I think never so much when you look at USAID. That's a fraud. The whole thing is a fraud.
Of course, in the first Trump term, First Lady Melania Trump and senior advisor Ivanka Trump at that time, both were involved in programs supporting USAID. And USAID, of course, serves around the world, a very small percentage of the overall budget, and is often considered a necessary part of not only humanitarian aid, but the cascading effects of that redound to the American people in terms of national security. So the approach this administration is taking is certainly very blunt, and the experts that Elon Musk says are in the workforce helping him do this and getting into the systems may not have any experience really in understanding how government works. There's not a great deal of transparency about who's on his team and how they are operating. The president wants him to do this work, and he is at it, while many federal workers in lots of different departments and agencies, a broad workforce, have real questions about what their own futures will look like.
So, Sam, let's talk a little more about this worldwide impact. NBC News found that USAID is being cut from roughly 10,000 workers globally to 611. Only a dozen people are going to be assigned to cover all of Africa. 8 people will cover Asia. 10 will cover all of Europe. America First is not something that Donald Trump has ever shied away from, but does this go beyond in terms of a larger narrative, essentially Donald Trump drastically removing the U.S. from many parts of the global playing field?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a one-dimensional America First approach, right? USAID does a number of important services and works across the globe to bolster American soft power. And so you create goodwill, you create alliances, you alleviate human suffering, and that rebounds on America in a good way. Absent that, those countries in Africa and South America and Europe even will have to turn elsewhere for help. And they'll turn to China, Russia, and people and powers that we are opposed to. I will say that from a programmatic level, this is devastating. The people who I've talked to in foreign aid, at USAID, in the global health community are warning of severe consequences. Already people are imperiled and probably have died from this. But if you just take PEPFAR, it's a good example. So PEPFAR is the program to alleviate HIV worldwide, but primarily in Africa. It was started by President George W. Bush. It has cured or prevented 26 million infections of HIV. That program has a waiver, according to Marco Rubio. And so in theory, it should be able to do its work. But PEPFAR depends heavily on USAID. PEPFAR is a fund but you have to administer the programs. And USAID is a supplier for PEPFAR and also helps with the administration of that program. I talked to one pediatrician out in East Africa who is involved in PEPFAR. Their staff is going to be reduced by half because of this USAID cut. So when we're talking about programs that even have made it through the waiver, those will be impacted by this USAID cut. And that's just one sliver of our global humanitarian relief efforts.
And by the way, it's not just those folks who work abroad, and it's not just civil service workers in Washington who are impacted. Also, we're learning first responders are going to take a hit. NBC's Jacob Soboroff, tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. The Trump administration's hiring freeze has effectively stopped the hiring of federal firefighters all throughout the federal firefighter system. And you might say, didn't know there was a federal firefighter system. Well, there's about 15,000 to 20,000 federal firefighters, depending on the season. Many of them are seasonal, either career or temporary seasonal workers, which means that every year that there is a significant onboarding process for these federal firefighters. And here in Los Angeles and Southern California, because of this massive mutual aid response to fight the devastating wildfires that we had here, those federal firefighters were critical to beat back and, in fact, save some neighborhoods, including in the Eaton fire, as part of that mutual aid effort. But in these agencies, the Bureau of Land Management, the U.S. Forest Service, the National Park Service, the onboarding process is frozen. And because of the background checks they have to go through, the length of time that these background checks take to get these firefighters on board, what we have learned is that it effectively could end up with a shortage of firefighters come next fire season. We talked to a person who works in hiring at the Bureau of Land Management who says that the directive was given to hold all offers related to fire position. The level of stupidity and negligence here, this person told us, is enraging. There's a lot of concern within the career civil service, within the ranks of these federal wildland firefighters that engage not just in these mutual aid efforts, but also obviously work on these massive federal lands throughout the American West in particular, about the consequences of holding back the hiring of these firefighters right now. The Trump administration, the Office of Personnel Management, has not said that the freeze isn't affecting these firefighters, but what they have said is there's a public safety exemption in that executive order. Despite the fact that there's that public safety exemption, we know that the hiring of these firefighters is in many cases on hold at this hour. It's something that's got grave concern here in places like Los Angeles, where we just saw one of the most devastating fires in American history. Back to you.
Yeah, without a doubt, Jacob, thanks for that. So, Sam, you have firefighters. And then we're also learning that people in poor and rural areas are losing access to health care. NBC News is reporting that a nonprofit mental health program for teen girls in West Virginia had to turn to private donors to help cover expenses. A network of health centers in rural Mississippi is facing a deficit of $500,000. They may have to scale back services. And worth noting, these are states Trump won, run by Republican governors, run by Republican lawmakers. And so it does raise the question, is there a red line for them when this starts hitting their constituents this way?
Yes, there is. We haven't reached it yet, but I talked, for instance, to the National Head Start Association. That's basically pre-K for people who need it financially. And they said there's something close to like 280 instances where chapters were having trouble getting their funding. You combine that with community health centers, you combine that potentially with food assistance, and eventually this becomes a real tangible political problem, not just one that Democratic lawmakers care about, but Republican lawmakers. We know this because early on, if you remember, that OMB memo that was sent out saying we're going to put a pause on all these federal grants, there was real mass confusion, and then suddenly it wasn't clear that the Medicaid portals, the money for states to access the Medicaid money, were working. And Republican lawmakers started to freak out about that. And quickly that OMB memo was rescinded amidst the confusion. Now, the Trump people say, this is all technical problems, not really what we're doing. These groups are having trouble filing their paperwork properly. But my suspicion is that eventually, when you get this much chaos, this much confusion, this much anxiety among people who are dependent on various government entities, it will cause an effect, and lawmakers who are closest to the ground will feel it first.
So, Sahil, what are we hearing from Republicans on the Hill? Any concerns?
Yeah, there are concerns, Chris, but among Republicans, they're mostly getting expressed in hushed tones. There are questions about Elon Musk's exact role here, the parameters of his job, and some lawmakers worry about how they can carry out their own oversight roles about all this funding that affects their constituents with so little transparency around what Elon is doing. One senator, Susan Collins of Maine, is a little bit more public about this than her colleagues. She says there are legitimate concerns about Elon and his team getting access to personal information of Americans. She says that's a privacy issue, that it could lead to court challenges, and there are processes in place around reorganizing agencies that don't appear to be getting followed here. But she's the exception. For the most part, Republicans are doing what they usually do in these situations, standing by President Trump and dismissing the criticisms. Take a look.
We see this as an active, engaged, committed executive branch authority doing what the executive branch should do.
Some of my colleagues are screaming like they're part of a prison riot.
I mean, he's basically doing an audit, so I hope that he'll soon be issuing a thorough report to Congress and the public.
This is a reform movement. And for all the outrage bingo that my Democrat colleagues and many in the legacy media are playing, they ought to pace themselves, because it's going to be a long 4 years.
All of which is to say, as long as Trump retains the influence he has with Republican voters, and he's fine with Elon, we should expect most Republican lawmakers to be on that page. Now, Democrats are taking a very, very different approach. Naturally, they have put Elon Musk at the center of their political message against the new Trump administration, the Resistance 2.0. They argue that Trump is empowering unelected billionaires to go after programs that benefit the middle class, all while he's pursuing a major tax cut that would disproportionately benefit upper earners like Elon Musk. Just moments ago, Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury and Congressman Jamie Raskin introduced a bill called the Nobody Elected Elon Musk Act. The bill would make sure that taxpayers won't be on the hook for damages in these litany of court challenges that are brought as a result of Elon Musk's actions, and those members who are taking those steps. They don't name Elon quite in the text outside the name of it, but it's very obvious that they're talking about him, that he would be on the hook for those damages. Chris.